A wizard, clearly annoyed, watches the others with contempt and feels misunderstood. He complains about being underestimated and criticizes the lack of vision of the next generations. As he finishes his spell, he declares that everything is done and makes it clear that in the future, everyone will see how the people from the past were wrong. The wizard, determined, says that if he can't train a successor, he'll create one from scratch. He's firm, saying he'll wait as long as it takes for that to happen. The bus starts shaking and becomes unstable. Akihiro, worried, tells Mikoto to hold on to something. She, scared, says she's afraid and tries to hold on to him. The bus completely loses control and begins to plummet. Akihiro realizes there's no way out and thinks he's going to die there, while Mikoto stays terrified during the fall. Akihiro and Mikoto wake up together in an unfamiliar bed, not knowing where they are. They're confused and start questioning if they really died in the accident. Both have no doubt that they died and now are somewhere else. Akihiro and Mikoto remember the bus accident, but now they don't feel scared anymore. They comment that they aren't even sad about not being able to see their families or friends again, showing a strangely calm acceptance of everything that happened. Akihiro and Mikoto talk about how they should feel sad for never seeing their families again, but realize they just can't feel anything. They find it weird how calm they are and notice something is off, even knowing that normally they should be shaken by the situation. Suddenly, Akihiro and Mikoto hear an unknown voice explaining that the calm they feel is a result of a reincarnation spell. Surprised, they look around to see where the voice is coming from, and spot a mysterious object on the table. The wizard shows up explaining that he adjusted Akihiro and Mikoto's minds when he brought them to this new world, letting both of them stay calm and think clearly. They understand the reason for not feeling panic and accept the explanation, thinking it makes sense. Akihiro and Mikoto accept that they died and now are in another world. They find it strange to have been reincarnated without a choice, but realize they already more or less know what they should do there. The wizard confirms that this is part of the reincarnation spell, leaving them a bit more at ease with the situation. Mikoto discovers she's received the potential to become the strongest magic user in history, even surpassing the greatest wizards of the past. Akihiro, on the other hand, was blessed with the chance to become a legendary warrior, with the power to outshine all those before him. The wizard explains that Akihiro and Mikoto must prove themselves worthy of becoming successors to the world's strongest, making their names known. They're given the freedom to live as they want, as long as they chase that goal. Then, the wizard prepares to show what it really means to be the strongest. The wizard shows a vision of Jair, the legendary warrior from 1,000 years ago, back when he was still young. Akihiro and Mikoto watch curiously as Jair faces several dragons at once, wondering if he'll be able to handle them all. Jair summons a powerful lightning bolt and casts magic against the dragons, showing impressive power. Akihiro and Mikoto are shocked, realizing this is only the beginning of what this world can offer. Jair fights the dragons with fast movements and incredible strength, showing what it means to be a true warrior. Akihiro and Mikoto are surprised by his physical level, understanding what it's like to have a warrior's abilities in this world. Jair delivers such a powerful blow that he cuts a mountain in half. Akihiro and Mikoto are completely shocked at the kind of strength a legendary warrior can have in this world. Akihiro panics seeing what Jair could do, thinking it's impossible to reach that level of power. He asks the wizard about his expectations, while Mikoto watches, confused, trying to understand her friend's reaction. The wizard just confirms that this is the standard of strength expected. Mikoto decides that, since they've got a new chance at life, they have to do their best as a way of giving back. She also decides to change her name to Miko, and suggests Akihiro does the same, making things lighter and giving them both a new start. Miko gets excited to explore the place and suggests going to the next room. The wizard warns that, at their current level, the room won't collapse, but one day, with more power, they might be able to destroy everything. He tells them to take the bracelets on the table, explaining they can use them to talk to him anytime. Akihiro finds the idea practical and agrees to keep exploring. Miko heads off, excited to explore the next room, while Akihiro asks if the bracelets also have Jair's knowledge and consciousness. The wizard says yes, more or less. Akihiro, in a hurry, tells Miko to wait and runs after her down the hall. Miko tests her powers and destroys a magic crystal with a single attack. Akihiro is impressed by her strength on the first try, while the wizard praises Miko's initial performance. Miko can already use both fire and ice magic at the same time, showing her talent right away. Akihiro is amazed by her power, and realizes that weaker monsters wouldn't stand a chance against her. Miko feels she still has a lot to learn in this new world. Akihiro starts to feel that everything is real, seeing the magic and the new world up close. The wizard explains that Miko has more affinity with non-elemental magic, but can use other magic as well. Miko suggests Akihiro should try out his warrior skills, and he agrees, excited. Akihiro tests his abilities and finds out he can jump really high, covering almost 5 meters in a leap. Miko is surprised by his strength, seeing that the warrior powers are already working. Akihiro gets excited, realizing his new body is super agile, and follows his commands perfectly. The wizard explains that he gave him a body that can surpass even legendary warriors and use weapons with natural instinct. Akihiro gets even more pumped up, impressed by his new skills. Akihiro enjoys trying out his new abilities, feeling like a real anime or movie hero. The wizard watches and asks if he thinks he can become the strongest in this world. Miko shows up equipped with several magic items that boost her powers and protection. Even not knowing if she has what it takes to be the best, she says she won't give up and is ready for any challenge in the new world. Akihiro also appears equipped with magical and protective gear, including strong armor, a staff that turns into various weapons, and items that raise his defense. He gets confident, thinking that with all this gear, they really have a shot in this new world. Before heading out to explore, Akihiro and Miko decide to look for people or a village. The wizard suggests they take supplies for a month, since he doesn't know how things are outside. They use a magic ring to store everything easily, surprised by how handy it is. Miko asks if they can really take all those powerful items, and the wizard confirms, saying it doesn't make sense to save them if they could die. Akihiro comments that now he has no excuse not to give it his all. The wizard recommends that they try to manage on their own, but reminds them that if they need help, they just have to call. Miko thanks him, ready to move forward. Akihiro and Miko get excited about their new life, full of powers and ready to face challenges in a fantasy world. They make a pact as partners, determined to become the strongest together. That's how their journey as the strongest warrior and mage of this new world begins. Akihiro and Miko take their first steps outside the temple and find themselves in a dense forest. They notice the place is overtaken by nature, since it's been abandoned for centuries, and start exploring this new world together. While walking through the forest, Akihiro notices something strange in the sky and calls Miko's attention. In this new world, there are 2 suns shining at the same time. They're surprised by another big difference from the place where they were reincarnated. Akihiro and Miko talk about the 2 stars in the sky and the atmosphere of the new world, which really feels like a classic isekai. They notice the plants around are different from Earth, but they can't say if any exist there too, since neither knows about botany. Even so, they keep exploring, curious. They notice that the door they came through disappeared, making it clear there's no way back. Even not knowing where to go, Akihiro and Miko decide to move forward and explore, ready to face anything this new world throws at them. Akihiro and Miko remember Jair's tips about the place but realize everything there has already become ancient history. They comment on how the forest is so dense they can't even see the sky, making the place feel even more mysterious and challenging, with the name Demon Deepwoods. Still, they keep going. While walking through the forest, Miko comments that the place is known for having scary monsters. Akihiro checks out the surroundings and notices it really does seem dangerous, making both of them more alert for whatever might show up. In the middle of the forest, Akihiro comes face to face with a giant monster that looks like an orc but soon realizes it's even bigger, probably an orc general. Things get tense, as now they're up against a real enemy in this new world. Akihiro is surprised by the speed of the giant orc, who comes at him with everything. The attack is fast and powerful, showing that danger in that world is real right from the first encounter. The giant orc attacks with speed, but Akihiro manages to dodge the blows, showing off his improved reflexes. Even thinking the enemy is fast, he sees that dodging isn't as hard as he imagined with his new body. Akihiro realizes that fighting the orc isn't impossible, since he can dodge the attacks. Miko notices the monster is targeting her, but also keeps an eye on Akihiro. She remembers that orcs usually capture women from other species, making the fight even tenser. Even so, they both stay strong, ready to act together. Miko tells Akihiro to move back, and he quickly obeys, dodging with agility. Next, Akihiro goes in for the attack and lands a direct hit on the orc, showing he's ready to fight on equal terms in this new world. Miko takes advantage of the opening Akihiro created and casts a magic attack directly at the orc, showing she's also ready for battle and won't lag behind. Miko's attack hits the orc head-on, brutally destroying the creature's head. She and Akihiro are a little shocked by the scene, but realize they managed to defeat the enemy together. The giant orc is defeated by a completely over-the-top attack. Akihiro and Miko recognize each other's efforts, exchanging quick compliments after the victory. After their first real battle in this new world, Akihiro and Miko think about how everything happened naturally. They realize they managed to defeat an orc general with a single attack, feeling that these new bodies and powers really changed everything. Akihiro notices he was able to fight and kill without hesitation, something he normally wouldn't do. He and Miko conclude that this is probably an effect of the reincarnation spell, since Jair adjusted their minds so they could handle this new world without freezing up in the face of danger. Akihiro and Miko decide to store the orc's body in the magic ring, surprised by how useful it is. They feel relieved they don't need to worry so much about fear in battle or killing, but also wonder if they'd act the same against people. Soon after, they realize there are other dangerous monsters in the forest. Tired from walking non-stop through the forest, Akihiro and Miko stop to rest and have some water. They complain that so far they've only seen trees and start wondering if there's a way out of that place. Akihiro and Miko hear a strange noise and realize it's not a monster. As they approach a cliff, they spot a battle going on below between goblins and human soldiers. Akihiro watches from afar while a group of soldiers, led by a confident woman, organizes the defense against the goblins. She instructs everyone to keep their formation and wear down the enemies little by little, showing leadership in the middle of combat. The soldiers struggle to fight against a group of goblins who turn out to be much stronger than usual. One of them realizes the monsters are strong because they're in the dangerous demon Deepwood forest, making the whole place feel even more dangerous. Akihiro realizes that normally goblins wouldn't be so strong, but there in Demon Deepwood they're different. He notices the knight stands out among the soldiers, who are clearly a level below her. Still, he and Miko decide to move on and not get involved for now. When things start to get rough for the soldiers, Akihiro and Miko decide to step in. They show up suddenly offering help, catching everyone off guard, including the leader called Lady Lycoris. Miko gets ready to attack with magic, while Akihiro jumps in to act alongside her. Miko casts a powerful spell at the goblins while Akihiro fights at the same time. The two show their full strength and surprise everyone there with how easily they handle the enemies. Miko prepares her next spell and tells Akihiro to go for it. The two attack together, taking advantage of the perfect moment, while Lady Lycoris watches, impressed by their teamwork. At the right moment, Akihiro jumps forward and attacks with everything, showing his full strength as a warrior while Miko covers him. The pair work in sync, making it clear they know how to fight together. Akihiro lands a precise blow and sends the goblin flying, while Miko celebrates the success of the attack. The two keep showing efficiency and teamwork in the battle. The soldiers and leader are shocked by Akihiro and Miko's strength in action. They wonder who these two are, since they defeated the enemies with ease and showed power way above what's expected. The leader takes advantage of the momentum Akihiro and Miko created and motivates her soldiers to push forward, telling everyone to attack the goblins while the enemies are weakened. The group moves in for a counterattack, excited by the new chance. Miko and Akihiro, along with the soldiers and leader, charge forward against the goblins. Motivated, they keep going strong on the path to becoming the strongest in this new world, growing more confident in their potential. Akihiro leads the group to face more monsters, noticing these enemies have tougher defenses than the last. He gets ready to attack, focusing on using his weapon as a spear to pierce better. As everyone advances together to defeat the monsters, Akihiro attacks with force using a magic spear, easily piercing the monster thanks to the weapon that changes shape. Lady Lycoris watches in surprise, thinking it's amazing and rare for someone to have that kind of equipment. Lady Lycoris shows her skill on the battlefield, easily slicing through several enemies and commenting that they're too slow for her. She stands out, taking down monsters with confidence and precision. Miko decides to use less force on the next attacks and keeps taking out enemies with ease, encouraging the group. She beats one enemy after another, excited to take on the next without losing her rhythm. Akihiro realizes he just defeated a monster with a human-like appearance but doesn't feel the weight he expected. Meanwhile, Miko stays focused, already aiming at the next enemy, and showing she's ready to keep fighting without hesitation. Akihiro sees that Miko isn't hesitating in battle either. He thinks maybe that's another effect of the reincarnation spell, but decides that if it helps them not freeze up in combat, it's a good thing. The two keep charging forward against the enemies. As the group advances through the forest, the knight is impressed by how strong the goblins are in that area. She thinks that normally her allies would easily beat goblins, but these from Demon Deepwoods are way more dangerous and don't compare to normal goblins. Even though the goblins are much stronger and more dangerous than regular ones, Akihiro and Miko manage to defeat them all with ease. The knight sees that they're on a whole different level from normal adventurers. The knight watches, impressed, and wonders who these people are. Akihiro notices that they've defeated all the enemies and confirms it's over, showing they really stand out in that world. After the fight, the group of knights thanks them for the help, saying they really needed it. Akihiro is a bit surprised by the thanks but responds casually, showing it was no trouble for them. Right after, the protagonist is struck by the beauty of the knight's leader, who has elegant features and pointy ears. Unable to hold back his curiosity, he asks if she's an elf. The protagonist comments that elves are rare to see, and the knight confirms, saying they almost never appear anymore. He thinks that 1,000 years ago in Jair's time, things were different. The mood relaxes as everyone gathers to celebrate being safe, with Miko excited and praising Akihiro for their teamwork. Miko thanks the elf for the help, but she replies that it was nothing. They comment how lucky they were to find other people, since they'd been wandering around for a while. Akihiro agrees, saying they'd probably still be lost if that hadn't happened. The elf asks for someone to treat a wounded ally, and stresses that everyone needs to keep their guard up. She says the group would have won the fight anyway, but some got pretty hurt. She warns that in that forest, even a scratch can be fatal, since the place is known for having poisonous and dangerous monsters, just like Jair remembered from 1,000 years ago. The elf thanks them for the help, but then gets serious and asks what exactly the two are doing in that place. The protagonist realizes she's suspicious of them, making things a bit tense. They start thinking about what to answer, since the situation could get complicated if they say the wrong thing. Even though they helped, now they're being questioned by the group. Even after helping, the two keep getting suspicious looks. The elf comments that their earlier fight was impressive, since the monsters in the demon Deepwoods aren't a joke. She points out that they took out an enemy in a single blow, and that the support magic used was extremely precise, making it clear that their abilities are way above normal. The elf states that it's obvious both of them have the skills to survive there, but warns that the forest isn't a place you can enter without permission. Then she directly asks why they're there and where they came from. One of them, sweating nervously, gets ready to answer, thinking there's no turning back now. Miko quickly replies that their master suddenly sent them there, saying they were ready to handle things on their own, and just dropped them there without warning. Meanwhile, both think they didn't expect to have to use the story they made up earlier this soon. The elf listens and comments that their master sounds like someone who's strict but wise. The elf comments that their strength speaks for itself and that, if they're that capable, their master must be really exceptional. She notices that the enchanted items they carry are top tier, concluding that their master really cares about both of them. Finally, she says throwing them out into the world like this is a tough but effective way of training. The two keep up their made-up story, saying they trained non-stop with their master until, one day, he said it was time to see the world. Then, they were left directly in that forest. They think the excuse of being raised in seclusion covers the fact they're from Japan and helps if they make any social slip-ups, hoping the lie is convincing. After hearing their explanation, the knight decides to invite them to join her, saying it would be better that way. Both happily accept, relieved they won't have to wander aimlessly, since they had no idea where to go. Before heading out, she mentions that she hasn't introduced herself yet, and everyone sets off together. The woman introduces herself as Lycoris, a knight from the border town of If, located near the demon Deepwoods. Aki introduces himself in a relaxed way, while Miko also says her name, being friendly. Lyris confirms she understood, and organizes the group to leave. With her leading the way, everyone goes through the forest, facing a few monsters along the route. Having a guide makes the journey way safer and more efficient. The group finally leaves the forest, noticing it's still late afternoon. They realize they went the right way to reach the exit before sunset. Lycoris points out a nearby camp where they can rest. Later, around the campfire, the atmosphere is calm and cozy, and they notice even the moon in the sky is double. During the carriage ride, Lycoris says they can come along and says she'll tell everyone she found the two outside the city. As they get closer, they're impressed by the size of Ife's walls. Arriving at the commoner's gate, Lycoris explains they'll enter there. A guard, however, stops them and asks about Aki and Miko, noticing they weren't with the group when they left, and asks where she found them. Lycoris takes full responsibility for bringing Aki and Miko, assuring the guard that it was her decision. The soldier accepts, but says that, by protocol, they'll need to be scanned before entering. The guard explains that the scan is a security measure. If the crystal glows blue, they're free to enter. If it glows red, it means they're criminals. Aki and Miko get tense, hoping they haven't broken any law by accident. The crystal glows blue, confirming they're clear. The guard allows them in, and Lycoris thanks him for his service. Relieved, Aki and Miko sigh, while the guards respond and open the way for the group. The carriage continues its way as Aki and Miko comment on how many protocols there are just to get in. They both realize that, without Lycoris's help, they'd be lost when it comes to the rules of this place. As they get closer, they're impressed by the view of the fortified city. Miko looks at the city, her eyes shining with admiration as the carriage goes up the stairs. The view reveals impressive and bustling architecture, making it clear to them that they've arrived at a grand and lively place. The pair watch the busy streets, amazed by the number of people and the energy of the place. Seeing the city so alive, they feel like they've truly arrived in a new world. As the cart goes through the streets, the two are impressed by the city's size. Lycoris thinks about how lucky they were not to be criminals and considers helping them if they have nowhere to go. She then asks what their plans are from here, welcoming them to the city of Ife. During the conversation, they reveal that their master recommended that, once they got to the city, they should register as adventurers, since they were skilled enough to go solo. Lycoris agrees, recognizing their skills and thinking that if they could fight alongside her, they're definitely not amateur. When they spot a building with the symbol of a sword, shield, and bow, they realize they've finally arrived at the famous Adventurers Guild, the gathering point for all true adventurers in the city. Aki and Miko thank Lycoris for her help, saying they'd have gotten lost alone. She says it was nothing and that, actually, she should thank them for keeping her from looking like an incompetent knight. Aki promises to return the favor another time, but they're soon interrupted by someone calling Lycoris. Aki and Miko try to downplay the help they got, saying that just riding the carriage was more than enough. However, Lycoris insists that isn't enough, and says, out of pride as a knight, that she wants to repay them. Meanwhile, Aki and Miko think there might be a deeper meaning behind this gesture, realizing they still don't know much about the customs of this world. Aki and Miko say goodbye with a smile, saying they're leaving and that they can talk about repayment another time. They both smile at Lycoris before heading out. Lycoris wishes them a good life of adventure. As the group heads into the city, Miko asks if they'll meet again, and Aki answers confidently that they will. The duo stands in front of the Adventurers Guild building, recognizing it by the symbol of a sword, shield, and bow. Decided, they get ready to enter. When they open the guild's door, they attract the attention of a few people inside. A serious and imposing figure watches them, while Miko reacts, surprised by the atmosphere in front of her. Inside the guild, lots of people are working and talking, while some eyes turn toward the newcomers. Aki sees Miko's reaction and thinks about how it reminds him of how she was in the past. Aki remembers how Miko was right after the reincarnation, full of determination and energy. In the present, he realizes the looks they're getting aren't just curiosity but also carry hostility, and concludes that a smooth start isn't going to happen. When they arrive at the Ife branch of the Adventurers Guild, they're welcomed by Iris, who greets them with a smile and offers to help. Miko is relieved that she seems nice. When Iris asks the reason for their visit, they reply that they want to register as adventurers and are given a form to fill out. They fill out the form with their name and role, Aki registering as a frontline fighter, and Miko as support. The registration is finished quickly, and the guild emphasizes that anyone can rise by their own merit, valuing results and offering equal opportunities for all. While the guild cards are being prepared, the receptionist asks if they want a quick explanation of how everything works. Aki and Miko agree, saying it's important to understand before getting involved. Happy with their interest, she comments that most people usually ignore this part. The receptionist explains that adventurer ranks go from F up to A, with S at the top, but S requires recognition from several kings and is rarely reached. Normally, A is the highest. Missions also go from F to S, and when working solo, you can only accept quests at your level or below. But with guild approval, you can take a mission one level above. The receptionist says that both of them will start at rank F, which is like trainee level. At this rank, you can only accept missions inside the city, usually simple tasks, as well as receive combat training at the guild. If your skills are considered exceptional, you can start at rank E, where you can already take on combat missions. The protagonist understands that this is to assess their strength. The receptionist explains that there's no direct penalty for failing a mission, but a low success rate can lead to loss of rank. Hunting monsters or collecting materials without officially accepting a quest means missing out on the quest's reward, even if you can sell the items. So, it's important to always officially accept the missions. Also, time-limited or special condition quests may result in a fine if not completed in time. The receptionist finishes her explanation and asks if they have any questions. Miko remembers that she mentioned the possibility of assessing their strength and asks if that can be done now, The clerk says yes, but asks if they're really ready for it, while Aki shows confidence in his answer. While Aki and Miko are still in the guild, a group of adventurers start making fun of them, laughing and saying being an adventurer isn't a game. They tell Aki to go home before he gets hurt. Aki, surprised, thinks that the scene is straight out of a cliché anime or movie. Iris steps in and tells the veteran adventurers to stop picking on the newcomers. They answer in a laid-back way, saying they're just passing on some wisdom to the rookies. Aki ignores the teasing and asks to just start the assessment, with Miko agreeing. Iris accepts and gets ready to start the test. Iris leads Aki and Miko to a special room just for assessments, which surprises Miko. As they enter, two veteran adventurers decide to follow them, curious to see if their strength is really what they say. The group arrives at a large open space inside the building, surprising Aki and Miko. They comment that the place is pretty big and looks like a full training ground, prepared for intense tests and training. Iris gets to the training field and calls a nearby man's attention, explaining she needs someone for a last-minute assessment. The man says it's perfect since there was someone available and asks them to wait while he gets the person who'll do the test. The duo talk about who's going to be in charge of the combat assessment. They figure it'll probably be someone strong. Soon after, the door opens, and a mysterious figure starts to appear in front of them. A big man, wearing detailed armor, shows up before the protagonists. He has a confident posture, and the duo gets tense, seeing that they'll be up against someone respectable right at the test. The knight's name is revealed, Gaul. He glares at the other adventurers who talk about his absence from the guild, but he doesn't say much. With a confident smile, Gaul confirms he'll be in charge of the combat test for the protagonists. Gaul imposes himself before them, showing his build and a huge weapon. The atmosphere gets heavy, and the protagonists realize this test is going to be tough, since they're facing an opponent much scarier than just strong. As Gaul enters the arena, the spectators start to comment, thinking it's risky to let newbies face someone so strong. The mood is tense, but the protagonist stays confident, while Miko is surprised but curious about the challenge. The adventurer assessment is about to begin. The group arrives with Gaul, and the staff explains that the two just registered but want to try for rank E straight away. Gaul looks at them, doubtful, thinking it might be a waste of time, and almost gives up on the test. Iris is surprised by his reaction. Aki and Miko introduce themselves to Gaul, who's a rank A adventurer, and will be testing their strength. Miko is surprised by Gaul's size, already seeing he's someone strong. Gaul calls the participants for the assessment. The evaluator confirms their names, Aki and Miko, and right after asks Aki to be the first to show his skills. Miko watches, surprised, as Aki gets ready to enter the arena. The evaluator explains that inside the assessment field, any injury will be nullified, so it's not a fight to the death, and everyone needs to control themselves. Aki understands and agrees, showing he's focused. The people watching start to comment, thinking the newbie is going to get destroyed by Gaul, betting he has no chance. Aki realizes Gaul is really strong, probably on the same level as Knight Lycoris. He even thinks the test might be fun, so he gets into a fighting stance, ready to go. Gaul grabs the giant sword and taunts him, telling Aki to attack first. The fight starts with Aki rushing in at high speed, surprising Gaul. The veteran realizes the kid isn't just any newbie, and starts to get excited about the challenge. Aki and Gaul trade heavy blows, with their weapons clashing in the middle of the field. The impact is so strong it gets everyone's attention, showing the fight is far from easy for both sides. Gaul is surprised that Aki managed to block his strike using just a thin staff, while Aki responds confidently, saying it's one of his best weapons. The atmosphere gets even more intense, and Aki prepares to attack again, showing he's not backing down. Aki gets confused, thinking the fight ended too fast since they only traded one blow. But Gaul, impressed, says that was enough, because Aki managed to take his attack head-on without backing down. Aki realizes Gaul wasn't fighting seriously, but the knight makes it clear that attack would have been enough to defeat most people. The audience agrees, and Gaul praises Aki in front of everyone, saying he did well. The crowd is impressed that Aki managed to withstand a strike from a high-rank adventurer, which isn't something just anyone can do. Gaul tells him not to forget it and to remember this moment. Aki agrees, showing he got the message. Aki gets praise from his friend, but notices that neither he nor Gaul fought for real. He sees Gaul was strong but fought with control and experience, while he just went all out. Still, Aki feels like he managed to hold his own, and gets pumped to get even stronger, knowing he still has a lot of room to grow. Now it's the girl's turn to be tested. She steps onto the assessment field a bit nervous, while Gaul confirms the boy's test is over. He sees she's a mage and comments that fighting her directly wouldn't be fair. She agrees, ready to show what she can do. Gaul tells the girl to hit him with a real spell, holding nothing back, asking her to give it her all. He even says it could be dangerous if he gets hit, but that he can handle it. The girl picks a specific spot and gets ready to cast the spell. The girl thinks it's the first time she's casting magic at someone for real, but she knows she has to do this to move forward. She focuses, creates a magic circle, and Gaul says he's ready for her attack whenever. Gaul notices the girl's different posture as she prepares her spell. Suddenly, she fires off the spell with force, surprising the crowd. Gaul defends against the magic with his shield, but the impact is so strong it surprises even the crowd, breaking part of the structure behind him. The audience is shocked, surprised by the power of the spell and the fact that Gaul managed to split the attack in half. Gaul compliments her, saying that with magic like that, she's more than qualified. The girl confirms she can control the power of her magic. Gaul asks if she can adjust her spell's strength, and hearing the answer, he's satisfied. He says that's all he needed to know, and ends the test, saying it's over. The evaluator confirms the test is over, and drops the barrier. The two protagonists wait for the result. The evaluator praises their performance, and says they'll soon know the official outcome. The test ends, and the staff member says she'll show the two out. Miko is surprised by the level of people there and realizes she'll have to work even harder. They leave the training field, aiming to climb the guild ranks higher and higher. The guild evaluator asks Gaul what he thought of the two newbies. Gaul is thoughtful, even doubting the situation, thinking it's weird they just registered. The officer confirms it, saying he saw everything with his own eyes, showing the two really were impressive. The evaluator agrees and says that, from what he saw, the two newbies already have C-rank combat power. With a bit more experience, they'll reach rank B easily, and if they get even better, they might even hit rank A. The evaluators are surprised and say they've never seen raw talent like that before. They explain that, in all of Kazlit Kingdom, the IF branch has the highest average level of adventurers. So for an A-rank adventurer here, to call someone the real deal, it really means something. It shows there are still surprises even in a city famous for its magic. Gaul says maybe they'll even end up working together on a mission someday. He explains that the guild is always looking out for new talent. The evaluator complains that the city always has tough requests, asking if there's no way to fix that. The evaluator reminds Gaul that they're in AIF, a place where everything really is harder. Gaul agrees, saying he can't deny it, admitting that life isn't easy here, not even for the newbies. The evaluator comments that talent is rare, but everyone decides what to do with it. Meanwhile, Aki and Miko enjoy some tea together, already thinking about when they'll reach rank E and finally go on adventures outside the city. Aki confirms that now they can take quests outside the city, which makes both excited. The staff explains that city quests are safer but pay little. Outside city, quests involve hunting monsters and gathering materials, and the difference in reward compared to F-rank jobs is huge. They start planning their next steps. The group finds out they can now take outside quests, where the pay is much better, especially for beginners. They're excited about this, since city jobs are safer but don't pay much. Outside missions involve fighting monsters and gathering materials, and the reward difference is big. They celebrate, happy that they'll start earning more with new missions, and feel confident in their efforts. The receptionist asks them to be careful, since she knows they're strong but worries anyway. They thank her for the advice and keep things upbeat, excited for what's next. They finally finish registering as adventurers and celebrate this new beginning, full of excitement. They think everything's going well and even ask if they can trade anything for money, but realize they don't have anything to cash in yet. The mood is pumped, and they're ready to face this new stage. Right after, a huge monster's body is dragged into the hall, shocking everyone, especially the clerk, who is stunned by the scene. The mood turns tense, and no one expected something so massive to show up. The clerk is surprised to find out they stored the monster using a magic box, a gift from their master. She warns that this kind of item is rare and valuable, telling them to be careful, since it might attract dangerous people. The group realizes the magic box is really rare, so valuable that even nobles can't easily get one. They mention theirs was made by a legendary warrior and wizard named Jair, making the box even more special. They start wondering how much such a box would be worth. The clerk calls an evaluator to analyze the giant monster they brought. Meanwhile, others are shocked at the creature's size and can't believe two newbies got it. The group takes the chance to relax and have a drink while waiting for the results. After the evaluation, they get 70 gold coins for the monster, which is a pretty high amount, equal to 10,000. The two celebrate the result, now knowing they'll be good for a long while. The clerk is amazed, thinking they're really something else for beginners. After getting paid, the group asks the clerk about a good place to stay in the city, since they don't know anything around there. She understands and starts recommending a traditional inn for adventurers, ready to help them get settled. They get to the inn the guild clerk recommended, called Crimson Fruit Inn. Excited, they decide to check the place out. The innkeeper greets them warmly and immediately realizes they're new in town, already knowing they were sent by the guild. They confirm they just registered as adventurers and ask if there are rooms available. The innkeeper explains the price: 5 silver coins a night with meals included, or 1 gold coin for 10 nights in 2 rooms. Hot baths are extra. The group quickly books 10 nights, thinking it's a good deal. The innkeeper is surprised they paid for 10 nights up front, since that's not common for newbies. She notices the place is more upscale than most beginners pick, but they explain they got a good amount of cash selling monster materials. In the end, she gives them their keys and decides not to ask more questions, just providing the service. The boy feels hungry, and the innkeeper shows him the way to the dining hall. They thank her and head there, excited to try the food. Soon after, they're ready to taste some slow-cooked orc stew, getting even more hyped. They try the orc meat stew and are surprised by the taste, finding the food delicious. They didn't expect orc meat to be that good. The mood is satisfied, and they realize they picked the right place to stay. After dinner, the two agree to wake up early the next day to get a new quest. Each goes to their own room, says goodnight, and soon they're asleep, resting easy for the next day. The next morning, they end up waking up late and get to the guild late. When they arrive, they find out all the quests have already been taken by other adventurers. They remember the clerk's warning about morning quests going fast and are frustrated at missing out. Even arriving late, they find there are still permanent quests available, like hunting goblins and gathering herbs. These tasks don't need to be accepted formally, just do the job and report back to get credit. The group decides maybe it's better to focus on these fixed quests, since that way they avoid so much competition and can keep a steadier pace. They run into guards at the city gate and sense a tense atmosphere, but they get through by showing their E-rank adventurers. Right after, outside the gates, they enjoy the fresh air and spot goblins in the distance, excited to start the quest. As soon as they see the goblins, they go straight in for the attack. They use magic and quick skills, easily defeating the enemies right at the start of the mission. After beating the goblins, they realize these enemies are much weaker compared to what they've faced before. They feel like they're wasting their skills on such simple monsters, and comment that they need to rank up fast to take on tougher quests, especially to fulfill Master Jair's request. Suddenly, a mysterious figure appears and gets hit by a surprise attack. The scene shows this person being pierced and screaming in pain, catching everyone off guard. Jair suddenly appears before the two adventurers, calling them by name and saying it's been a while since they last met. They're surprised by his sudden arrival. Jair comments that the two have already gotten used to their current bodies, but warns they're still not ready to face demons. Even so, he says they don't need to worry, as he'll take care of it. Jair decides to test them, summoning a phantom beast for them to fight as training. Surprised, they get ready for this new challenge, already understanding it'll be a real test of their skills. Jair summons a huge phantom dragon as a training test. He explains that if they do enough damage, the creature disappears. The goal is to see how fast they can defeat the monster, really putting them to the test. The two give it everything they've got to beat the phantom beast Jair summoned, using a flurry of attacks and burning through all their energy. After a long fight, they manage to win, but they're exhausted, realizing the challenge lasted 2 whole hours. After the tough training, Jair gives them a lecture, saying that if they can't beat a beast like that quickly, they're still far from being strong enough. He tells them to keep training and quickly disappears, leaving the two thinking about how much they still have to improve. Pumped up after training, the two believe they'll be ranking up soon. They decide to go back to the guild to report what happened, but when they arrive, they sense a strange atmosphere and get curious about what's going on there. As soon as they reach the guild, a warrior announces an emergency request from the elf village. The mood gets tense, and everyone realizes it's serious, getting the attention of all the adventurers present. The guildmaster appears and says that, by order of the local lord, the guild is gathering reinforcements for an emergency mission. He makes it clear that the situation is critical, raising the tension in the hall. The protagonists are surprised to find out the urgent request is from the elf village. They realize that from now on, the real adventures and challenges are about to begin, as a big battle is about to happen. The two are disappointed to see the urgent mission only accepts D rank or higher adventurers. They feel frustrated not being able to help on the big mission, and realize they don't have a high enough rank to join the guild's important quests yet. The clerk explains that only D rank or higher adventurers can join the special mission, so they're not eligible yet. She reminds them that even if they're strong, rank doesn't go up overnight. They both recognize they're still learning the ropes of this world, and that combat skill alone isn't enough to get respect. It takes confidence and competence in lots of areas. Since they're still newbies and can't join the big missions, they decide to stroll through the city's market. The mood gets lighter and more upbeat, and they use their free time to get to know the place and learn how the region's commerce works. They realize the open market is the city's main commercial hub, with lots of stalls and even big shops setting up stands to sell their goods. The place is bustling and lively, and even weapons vendors are out showing off their wares. The boy is interested in a dagger at one of the weapon stalls and asks if he can try it. The vendor lets him, saying to see how it feels. When he picks up the dagger, he realizes it's a quality piece, and the vendor reveals it's one of the blades he made to practice, complimenting the boy for his good eye. The boy finds out the dagger was forged by the vendor himself, who says his master told him to start selling his work. He decides to buy the weapon, thanks the seller, and gets an offer. The blacksmith promises to do the first maintenance for free, since he's the first customer to buy one of his blades. The boy finds this useful, and thanks him for the kindness. Miko notices her partner bought a knife and finds it interesting. He explains that the knife is good for many things, but admits it's weird to use the same blade for fighting and daily tasks like cutting food. Even so, he shows he can change the weapon's shape to adapt to any need, proving he made a good deal. They talk about the stuff they bought with the last mission's money. The boy says each of them can spend as they wish, and asks if Miko bought anything. She shows that she picked up some potions that seemed good, proving she also thought about useful items for their next adventures. They talk about the things they bought, and Miko explains that thanks to her magic, potions aren't so essential for her, but that it's important to learn to recognize quality items. They remember that Jair also gave the group special potions, but agree to save those for really important situations. The mood is one of learning, each developing their adventurer skills. The two start to think about their market buys. Was the blacksmith really good? Were the potions worth it? They realize they need to learn how to better judge quality and also save money, since they still want to buy better gear in the future. The chat ends with both laughing, agreeing they need to make more money to invest in real items. While exploring the market and checking prices, they realize they still need to save a lot if they want to buy expensive items like equipment that costs 50 gold coins. Both recognize the journey will be long, and they'll have to save up if they want the freedom to buy whatever they want later. While deciding to go back and check the stalls they missed, they notice something strange near the city gates, where several soldiers are gathering. Soon after, they recognize Lycoris, who seems to be leading the group at the entrance. They realize the mood near the gates is tense and quickly figure out it's about the reinforcement mission for the Elf Village, the famous D-rank quest. The movement of soldiers and the buzz make it clear that something big is about to go down.